hands-on. We're going to learn about CSS selectors, and we have rule sets, and a rule set is going to be made up of selector or selectors, right? And then what comes next? Declaration block. And then inside declaration block we have what? Declarations. And declarations are made up of what? And they end with what? Semicolon. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So some examples of that might be HTML, body. Those are element selectors. IDs, right? Might be like that. That might be an ID, or we could have some other ID. Right? Different IDs. Or we might have a class. Okay? And so then we'd apply declarations to those different things. And so that could be like padding, border, margin, right? Doing a little bit of reset there. And so here's an element. These are many different selectors. Here is an element. These are element selectors. These are ID selectors. On a HTML page, you can only have one ID. Okay, one ID. That's it. So you can only have one ID surfer girl. That's it. You can't like use that in different places. A class, you could have many classes, or you can have many IDs. You could have many classes, but IDs can only be used once, and a class could be used many times. And so in your HTML, let's look at it. We have some examples. Okay, we'll look at some examples. So the code we're working out of, if you're watching this online, if you're in the classroom, sorry you have to keep hearing this, but I just want to make this available to everybody in the world. This is the code we're working on right here. And if you want to take this course, you could find the entire course on Greater Commons, HTML, and CSS right here. Sweet. Just to help everybody. And so here are examples of element selectors, right? So let's just do some review of different CSS selectors here. So we have a header. This selects everything, the star. That's like a wild card. You see that? Select everything. So everything's going to have margin 50 pixels. Okay. Not a good selector to use. It's too broad. And it's also, some people say, not performant. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe it's changed. And then here, header is selecting this header. Section is selecting this section. Article is selecting this article. All right, aside and footer are selecting these. Multiple selectors on the same rule set. So if we look at this page, that's kind of cool. Some kind of a trippy flag, right? But here the header was red. The section is blue. Section is blue. It has an article inside of it, which is 50% the width, height, and it's yellow. All right, so there's that article that's inside. How come it's right here? There's that space right there. How come? That space right here. Why is there that little blue space right there? Because we said everything has margin 50 pixels. Right? If we wanted to get rid of that space, how would you get rid of this space, this blue right here, and have the yellow start right on the edge? Yeah, okay, so let's do the, exactly. I'm just quizzing y'all. Margin, and then what I put in. I just want the left one. Okay, 0 would work, right? Yeah. But I could have also been more specific. I could have said, I want the top to be 50 pixels, top, and I want the right to be 50 pixels, and I want the bottom to be 50 pixels, I want the left to be 0. Same thing. All right? So different ways to do the same thing. Cool. So that's those are element selectors, selecting things with CSS. Elements on an HTML page, selecting with element selectors in CSS. So here's the next one. This is a class selector. So class, emphasize, can be used multiple times. All right? I could use that multiple times on the same page. So anything with the emphasize is going to be hot pink. And so you can see here, okay, the things that got emphasize are hot pink. So that's a class selector. An ID, you can have multiple IDs, but you can only use them once per page. So promote is right there. I can't use that again on this page. And so that is going to be green. So element selector, class selector, ID selector, knowing the difference between a class and ID. And here, this is incorrect. So I put this in here as an example of incorrect. All right, and my editor is saying duplicate ID reference, and it's underlined it in red, saying this isn't accurate code. Now it still works because HTML is forgiving, but that's not the way you're supposed to do it. Bad code. All right, so that's ID, and then we have attribute selectors. What's an attribute? What's an attribute? Does link have any attributes?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's one of the attributes in link?
Href.
Href. All right. So there's actually a lot of different attributes, and you know, let's do this. I'll just do 013, like a few selector examples maybe. I don't know how many we'll get. We'll put in a folder in case we have more than one. Create an HTML page. Create a CSS page. And here we'll link. Okay. All right, and then image. And we'll come up out of 1, up out of 13, and then we should have here. Cool. So we have an image. I don't know what the peer is. Oh, paradise. Okay. So paradise is one attribute. What other things have attributes? Let's see, paragraph. Hello world. And let's see what attributes we have. Look at all these IDs, an attribute. Class is an attribute. Target, style, title, href, about, align. ARIA, a whole bunch of ARIA stuff. Content editable. It's an interesting attribute. True. Look at this page. And now, well, that's huge. So I need to split vertically, and I could do my CSS with 200 pixels. Cool. Hello world, watch this. Content editable. That's just kind of interesting. You might use a little JavaScript, and then if somebody runs that when they leave, you know, send something updated. But that's kind of hacky. I'm not quite sure how you'd use that. I like content editable. So can I do an attribute selector? Cool. Could I do it like this? Same thing. So attribute selectors let you select based upon an attribute. So we have element, we have class, we have ID. Hey, we could do attribute. what would happen if I had, let me duplicate this and just comment that out. What would happen if I just had alt? Hey, anything with alt, is that still going to be cool? So I could get just generally you have this attribute, or I could do it based on a setting. That attribute's equal to this. It's cool, right? So that's attribute selector. So let's look at some of these. So content editable right here, right? It's going to be red with a border of dash black. Red with a border of dash black. This is going to be source and href. So image source is that will be 10px-red, and href is here, and also here, anchor, href. So this one will be green around Mozilla Manifesto. Mozilla Manifesto is green. This one's red. Image source, href, anchor. So those are attribute selectors. So here we have target blank. So here we have target blank. Here we have target self. HTTP Google, HTTPS Google. HTTP Google, target blank. HTTPS Google, same page. So attribute selectors. And then we have pseudo classes. And I think I'll talk about those selectors in the next video. Just keep them short.